Back for the Arizona Coyotes games. It's Locked On Coyotes. Arizona has their fourth game of the month of March. Can they go 4-0 to start the month? Because they are still undefeated, but the Toronto Maple Leafs stand in their way. We'll talk about that game on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn Leonio. That's Carl Pavlik. I'm glad to be back. This is Locked On Coyotes, daily show on Locked On Coyotes. We want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. We are freely available on all platforms, including on YouTube, to those who want to see our beautiful faces and just have us talk about the Arizona Coyotes, because they got a game coming up. They are 3-0 to start the month of March, but now they got another test coming up. They got the Toronto Maple Leafs, Carl.
Yeah, definitely. And the Coyotes have had two easy opponents this month in the Ottawa Senators and Detroit Red Wings. Easy is a relative term. They're still better than the Coyotes, but not the top tier. But they have also faced the Colorado Avalanche and beaten the Colorado Avalanche. So I don't know. This one should be an interesting one.
Yeah, technically, also the Colorado Avalanche. The Coyotes have, I just did a little look on that. Coyotes technically have a winning points percentage this season against them.
Yeah, because what? It's like 2 wins and an overtime loss?
2 wins and an overtime loss. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just insane. Although, like, something we've kind of seen before, like, there is always that talk of a team that plays up to their competition. We've seen that with the Coyotes and the Avalanche. We saw that in the last game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kinda, maybe, or that one could be more just Karel Vejmelka standing on his head. But
yeah, that's definitely was the case for that game. But what's funny about at this point in this month, though, and I want to look back really quick to the to the to the Detroit game, is I was interacting on social media with other hosts, Locked On Red Wings and Locked On Devils. I don't know I don't know how Locked On Devils got involved, but but they responded to losing another gimme, what should be a gimme game, and then I respond back, you call them gimmies, we call them traps.
yeah, I mean, the Coyotes are definitely they're playing spoiler right now. It's early, but there was there is a possibility that the Detroit Red Wings could climb out of the mid tier of the standings and get a playoff spot, but that's not going to happen if they lose games to the Coyotes and lose 9-2 to the Coyotes. Like, that's a statement loss. If anything, it signals you should just start wrapping things up. You should be sellers at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, especially since they're 10 days now, 11 days from the trade deadline. So
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, we're really getting close, and we're gonna be paying attention really closely to what moves the Coyotes are gonna make, because we know the Coyotes are in rebuild mode. So we already accepted the fact there are some teams that haven't yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the Coyotes went into the season knowing that they were going to be a rebuild team. And especially if you look at, say, the Montreal Canadiens, they did not have that expectation. It's why they acquired Christian Dvorak, because they thought that it could like push them over. But the Coyotes, like, everything's kind of going according to plan, maybe even slightly better than planned, because I imagine a couple of assets have their value like boosted from this season, and just in general, like, the Coyotes' outlook looks good in future years.
And we'll find out, indeed, maybe some of the players who are being highlighted for the Arizona Coyotes on their roster right now could have some good games in the coming days, right?
I I mean, yeah, definitely. Uh, I don't know if the Coyotes are shopping him, but Nick Ritchie has 5 points in 5 games with the Coyotes. Um, you know, we've also seen what Christian Fisher had a goal against the Detroit Red Wings. His name's come up a couple of times. Yeah, there's definitely like if you are looking to make your team better, you can go to the Coyotes, and they may have a couple of surprise pieces for you.
By the way, did you see that tweet that someone shared of a letter some kid sent to GM Bill Armstrong?
Yes,
Oh my
asking
God, that
not to
was so
trade
cute.
Lawson Krause.
That was so cute.
Yeah, and definitely one of those things where it's very cute and understandable for a kid. If you're an adult, just know that like don't have favorite players on the Coyotes. It's a bad idea. Uh, but yeah, it surprisingly enough, like everyone kind of responded. Like, I mean, Greg Morgan said that the team's not looking to move Lawson Krause. He's the definitive name in the Coyotes, so if anyone would know, it'd be him. I
Lawson
am.
Krause, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz are pretty much locks to stay with the team right now.
Uh, although is like I do kind of wonder because it did seem like the Coyotes were looking to move Schmaltz and Keller previously, but people scoffed at the contracts. They said it wasn't. Could they play themselves into being traded to a contender? That's kind of a question.
That's a good question. I mean, I think yes, but at the same time, do the Coyotes see their value in do they want to make the bet and say like, all right, maybe you can be a part of the future for this
Yeah,
team because they're still young.
they are. They are very young. Keller is what 23, I think.
Yeah,
Schmaltz is a slightly older 24 or 26. Sorry, is Nick Schmaltz. So still plenty of time. Like, and the chemistry is just unreal. Like, it does seem like. Do you want to take a risk splitting up Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz at this point? If you are the Coyotes or a team looking to acquire talent, like I don't know, it's a tough call. I wouldn't want to make.
and, although I do like, and I think even though like they're like quote pseudo untouchables, whatever you want to call them, I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, if an offer were to come by Bill Armstrong, like if say a team were to be like, we'll give you 2 first-round draft picks for Clayton Keller,
Yeah.
plus a prospect, you're like, can I say no to that?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we see with everything. Like Jacob Chikrin was supposed to be off the trade block, and the message was basically like, if you make an insanely good offer, we'll consider anything. And people started making offers. So who really knows? Anyone can be traded.
Anyone can be traded. So the story of the lesson of this segment, Carl, and we should and that we'll reiterate: don't have a favorite player during this time.
Yep, that is true. Do not because unless you're like a fan of that player and just want him to succeed, because if they get traded, they're probably going to go to a contender. But if you like seeing him in a Coyotes jersey, don't have a favorite player.
And yeah, and of course, yeah, everyone can have favorite players in hockey, but if you're just a strict Coyotes fan
Yeah,
and you have that, I get it. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. I am definitely fans of players for both on ice and off ice reasons. But there is something kind of hurts a little bit about seeing them get traded, especially from your team. Like that's no one likes that.
Exactly. We still got more to get through on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We're gonna go more into this matchup: Arizona Coyotes versus Toronto Maple Leafs tonight at 5 p.m. in Toronto at the was it Scotia Bank Arena. We're going to talk about that game, and then later on, we're going to get to our Bet Online picks of the game. So be sure to stick around on Locked On Coyotes. But first, we get a word from Carl.
It's that time of year again, as college basketball tournaments are finally upon us. For all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Back here on Locked On Coyotes, once again, Robyn Leonio and Carl Pavlik. You get to talk about Arizona versus Toronto, and what a game it's going to be, because the last game these two teams played, as you mentioned, Carl, you had an amazing game from Krove Melka, and it was a very low scoring game and whatever. And it kind of makes me think, is like, we have this game coming up, and this one's in Toronto. How different is this going to be? Plus, not to mention the fact that the Arizona Coyotes, albeit against two bad teams, somewhat bad teams, scored over eight or more goals.
Yeah. That is definitely it's hard to say. I have been skeptical that this offensive flurry would last, but I thought wasn't going to go beyond Ottawa. I thought things were going to tighten up against the Detroit Red Wings. Boy, was I wrong. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have been playing some high offense games lately. We could talk about this more when we talk about the betting, but they have had more than 6 goals total for every game in the month of March. Either a 6-4 win against the Seattle Kraken or a 5-1 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. So who knows what we're gonna get? Like, if the Leafs are losing to the lowly Sabres, they could probably lose to the lowly Coyotes.
Especially 5-1.
Yeah. A 5-1 loss to the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh,
What is a more embarrassing loss, do you think? 5-1 to the Sabres or 9-2 to the Coyotes?
9-2 to the Coyotes, because that's because, like, you let the Coyotes get 9 goals.
And no one had a hat trick either, so
Although, was it Schmaltz had 7 points? What it was?
Schmaltz has 11 points in his last 2 games. He had 7 against the Senators,
That's
4
what it
against
was.
the Red Wings.
That's what it was. Okay,
Yeah,
but still, wow, what a freaking week he's had.
yeah,
A couple other things that I want to bring up is we're going to see, since the trade, it's only not spent too long, but Lubushkin.
of course, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how he has adjusted to his role. Everyone I've talked to said that the Leafs wanted to get more tough, and Lubushkin is definitely a guy who's going to make you more tough. I don't know if you saw this tweet from Alex Hobson, current Coyotes, former Leafs for tonight's game. Nick Ritchie, Phil Kessel, Anton Strollman, Alex Goligoski, Travis Boyd, and Riley Nash.
Wow.
So there is, like, these teams are pretty familiar with each other. Like, they've definitely had, like, there's a lot of Coyotes who know what the Leafs are like. And those are the players that you expect to have a big game, especially Travis Boyd. Like, he's been really good since signing that extension.
Yeah. And maybe that's kind of the good what was a good thing about getting those extensions at this time, right? Get the
Yeah.
extension in, that's a little bit of a confidence boost. It's like, oh, Bill Armstrong has some confidence in me. Let me keep banging these good games out.
I mean, it's something that we talked about before the season even began. Like, the Coyotes are going to be an opportunity. Like if you can
Hmm.
play, you're going to get the minutes. And we're seeing that with players like Boyd, like Liam O'Brien, who the Coyotes also extended. He's not going to be playing tonight. But yeah, and Nick Ritchie comes in. Like I said, 5 points in 5 games with the Coyotes. He had 2 goals in with the Toronto Maple Leafs before coming. So there's definitely opportunity for Coyotes players.
You know what's weird is the Coyotes have played uh, the Maple Leafs already, as I mentioned. Yeah, I went to their cat friendly page and I looked at their two goaltenders, and I'm just like, what? Peter Mrazek and Eric Shalgren? Like,
Don't they also have Campbell?
Jack Campbell's on the injured reserve,
Ah, that's it.
and Shalgren is emergency loan. That's what.
I mean, one of the things that we talked about the Carter Hutton trade, or I would say rather didn't talk about the Carter Hutton trade, was so the Leafs have like a fifth string backup, and there was definitely I've had conversations with someone about like they're like, is he fourth? Is he fifth? Is he third? I don't know, but the Leafs may be in trouble with goaltending this year. That seems like it could be their big derailment, and that may be the reason we're seeing some of these high offense games.
And that might be the perfect opportunity for the Coyotes to have a little more fun. I mean, it's not like they're going to be going anywhere because the um, the Canadians are also winning teams too. So it's
Yeah,
not like it's not like they're moving anywhere in the standings.
yeah, and also like the Coyotes are so feast or famine. Like I fully expect them to have another like 7 game losing streak to end the year.
It's gonna,
Like
yeah.
yeah, especially right around when we get to trade deadline. Like if a piece moves, like the adjustment time may be kind of big for them. So it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be fun though. I think the the Coyotes have made, like, at least the second half of this season, they've made things fun, right? They've had
Yeah,
some interesting games. Obviously, we know that first half was uh absolutely brutal,
yeah,
but things have gotten better. They look like they're starting to fit into the system a little bit more. And, like, yeah, they're probably still going to get a top 3 pick, which is good. That's what
yeah,
we want.
yeah. That's what the season's for. Yeah, it's like if goals came out of like your garden hose and like in the beginning of the season someone was just stepping on it and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, this is probably the problem, and they just get off it and all of it just comes squirting out at once. But eventually like you level off a bit. So um the Coyotes, if nothing else, have made, like you said, the second half a very interesting season.
Especially with I mean, this month is not an easy month. Yet they already got a good start to it. So
No, it's packed. There's so many games, so many games. We're getting 3 back-to-backs this month.
I seriously got to check the schedule of every other team and see like, what's the number of back to backs for the Coyotes versus the rest of the league.
That'll be that'll definitely be something to check after the year has worn out. Like how tough was this schedule? How tough was it before COVID rescheduled games, and how tough was it after the COVID rescheduled games? Because it seems like it's only gotten harder.
Yeah, it's just the way things are. It is just freaking ridiculous. We still got more to get to, though, on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. We're going to go to our Bet Online picks of the game. We're going to take a look at the lines and tell you what they are going to look like. All that and more on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back here on Locked On Coyotes. Once again, Robyn Leonio and Carl Pavlik, Arizona Coyotes versus Toronto Maple Leafs tonight at 5 p.m. in Toronto at the Scotiabank Arena. We got some stuff to talk about because, well, it is a Bet Online picks of the game. We get to go through the odds and tell you how we think this game is going to go. So here we go. The Arizona Coyotes are a point and a half underdogs at plus 132, plus 294 on the money line, minus 337 if you decide to go for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And total points is 6.5.
Hmm. See, they were listening when I said that the Maple Leafs and the Coyotes have had pretty high offense games.
Yeah, they've been listening. I mean, yeah, I think you just got to look at the trends, right? You look at the
Yeah.
trends. It's easy to say, okay, this game can have, we can put the total points a little bit higher. 6.5 though. I mean, that means like you need a 7 goal game to bank on the over, which is at minus 125. Um,
I mean, when you look at the Coyotes' last two games, like they've gotten over seven by themselves. So I kind of feel like you're halfway there. But I mean, that's the thing about trends. How long do they go on? Does this like kind of like snap and become like a low scoring affair? I'm not entirely sure. I kind of think it will. I don't know if the Coyotes' offense can last this long.
no, and especially because as we've pointed out, the Senators are a basement team,
Hmm.
and the Red Wings are borderline basement.
Yeah.
They're like they're like in the basement, like towards the top of the stairs, trying to get out.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They are in their own rebuild. They're advancing. They're not there yet, but they're making the right moves. I think you can comfortably say. Um, but the Maple Leafs are just a good team.
Yeah.
Uh, and unfortunately, they are in a division with a lot of good teams. Otherwise, you know, what the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning are ahead of them in the standings. That doesn't even seem fair.
Plus, I'm sure that that 5-1 loss to Buffalo probably really stung them. They're like, let's not let this happen again. Let's not let our guard down. Because that would just be, hmm. Oh man.
Yeah, Buffalo Sabres out there making it so the Maple Leafs don't like get stuck in the trap. And I do think that's going to be the case. Like you said, talking to the Devils, talking to the Red Wings people, they're like, this should have been an easy game. The Toronto Maple Leafs, at this point, like with the month they've been having, they should not be thinking there are any easy games. Like they got to work, and I think it's going to catch the Coyotes. I think the streak ends today. I'm going to go 3-2 Toronto.
3-2 Toronto. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna say. What am I thinking? Uh, I'll say 4-2 Toronto.
4-2 Toronto.
Within
So
the
both of us have the streak ending.
yeah, the last one's gonna be an empty netter. So like it'll be like it's a good. But so I'm saying the Coyotes put on a good fight. They're gonna make it interesting.
And I mean, I think if you're betting, like looking at these situations, like seeing the trend of these high scoring games, like I said, that's got to come to an end eventually. So who knows? Maybe tonight the offense dries up, or maybe tonight Phil Kessel decides to celebrate his birth of his child with 4 goals. Who can say?
Who knows? Who knows? So to clarify on our picks, both of us are picking the under,
Mhm.
which you can get some pretty good profits off of that off betting, and um, you're taking the points for Arizona. I'm giving the points to Toronto.
Yep.
That's how those picks go. So 3-2, Carl. That's what you said. For Toronto, I said 4-2 for Toronto. Those are
Mhm.
our picks. It's going to be an interesting game. Absolutely. And again, as you mentioned, there are former players on both sides. Who knows how things go? Again, these, like you said, in this in the previous segment. These two teams are very familiar with each other.
Definitely. And I mean, don't count out Austin Matthews. He had a hat trick against the Kraken, so like he's also been on a goal scoring tear. And though he has never played for the Coyotes, he is very familiar with them.
Yeah, that's the the Arizona connection. No matter what, if you're here, if you're from here, you got your connection.
Just like how Clayton Keller can destroy the St. Louis Blues every single time he goes there. Austin Matthews has something against Arizona, which is why we need to get him.
Until we bring him home.
Yeah,
Until
until
we
we bring
bring
him
him
home.
home. Anyways, though, we're going to be out of time here on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. Be sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. We're going to talk about the post-game show. Talk about what happened from tonight's game, as well as preview the next game, Arizona Coyotes and Boston Bruins. But until then, it's now time to make your second listen. Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Hosts Steve Robyn and Philip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to be it for today's episode. Hope you guys like what you heard. If you did, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes, on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leano. That is Robyn with the Y _LEANO. Carl Pavlik is Carl Pavlik FFH. Interact with us, ask us a question you might have. We can answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.